What is up, ladies and gents, Noli here, and welcome to the first Smite video on this channel. I'm extremely excited to bring you guys Smite content. Thank you very much for those of you who have followed me from the Payday channel, whether you have a interest in Smite or you're just interested to see what's going on over here. I greatly appreciate it. The idea behind this video is not only to hopefully provide some reasonably entertaining gameplay, playing my primary role on the Conquest map, which is, while not the most popular map in the game, it is the one that the game is competitively balanced around, and it is the primary competitive mode. But as far as gameplay is concerned, I'm actually not going to talk a great deal about it. For example, what we're doing right now is we're invading the enemy's buff camp. So instead of starting at our own, essentially the map is divided into two sides. We're going to walk in and take what they want. You know, it makes sense in a game that is competitive to walk in and try and irritate the enemies as much as possible and try and put them behind while getting yourself ahead. But this is a, well, maybe not a relatively high level strategy. It's something that new players won't really be looking to do. So the gameplay here is not a new player's guide, but I am hoping to explain the game in such a way that those of you with a passing interest will, you know, be intrigued and give it a go, because this game is not only on PC where I am playing it, it's also playable on PS4 and Xbox. In fact, the Xbox scene even has its own competitive option if you guys want to play for actual prize money. So Smite is in a good place currently. We're about to enter into Season 4, which has made some dubious changes, but it is actually one of the primary reasons I've decided to pick up this idea of a Smite channel. I have been wanting to do so for a very long time, because Season 4 has brought in a ton of complexity to the game, but it's also a fantastic time for new players to join, because I feel that if you don't join right now, it's going to be a hell of a lot to learn when the time comes if you are interested to play the game. Whereas we're seeing a big ELO reset, we're seeing it as just a perfect time for you guys to get into Conquest and to get into Smite. And I'm hoping I can convert a few of you Payday guys to at least give it a go on, like I said, PC or console. Also, the game is free to play, so why not? Now, as I said, Smite is a MOBA. Now, the MOBA genre is, at this point, actually getting relatively saturated, but what makes Smite unique, or what used to make Smite unique, was the fact that it was a third-person, action-orientated MOBA. The more popular MOBAs that already existed at the time of Smite's inception were, of course, games like Dota and League of Legends, which still to this day do eclipse Smite in popularity, but as its own game, it has done pretty well for itself, held massive tournaments with pretty large prize pools. It's also essentially funded new games that Hi-Rez, the company that makes Smite, have made, Paladins, a number of Smite-based spin-offs. So it's been pretty successful in and of itself, and the action-orientated style, for me, trumped what Dota and League of Legends offered. Remember, these communities have not always been the friendliest. Of course, there's a lot of you stole this from that, and obviously just basic competition, because they are competing for your playtime, and they do offer relatively similar things. But like I said, Smite was my choice. It was action orientated, and on top of that, it also played on something that I'd loved since I was a kid, and that is ancient mythology. And that is what you're going to be playing the game as. Now, the character I am playing right here is called Hebo, or I think if you're going to go for it in the voice actor's line, he goes Hebois, something along those lines. He is a Chinese god, but he's not an overly well-known god, and I'm a big fan of those characters in Smite particularly. I'm also playing him in the jungle role, which is not really where he belongs. Junglers, those of you who do play other MOBAs and have half an idea, will understand that it's the role that kind of roams around the map, goes from buff camp to buff camp, picking it up for the teammates, and then also what I'm doing right now, ganking the lanes and causing trouble for the enemy team. Generally, you're looking at either big initiators or assassins designed to pick enemies out the backline. Hebo is none of that. He is a mage designed for the mid or the solo lane, but right now he's not in a very good place. He's not considered a very strong Conquest character, so I try taking him into the jungle in this gameplay, and it goes fairly well, to be honest. And this is where most of my gameplay will be found, in the jungle. I find it to be the most entertaining to play and to watch. Hopefully you guys will agree. But as I was saying, Hebo is a Chinese god. He is the Chinese god of the Yellow River. Essentially, his lore boils down to him being an old fella who drowned in a in a river, and that made him deific somehow. I haven't actually read up on Hebo's lore specifically for this video, so I can't give you an in-depth analysis, but he's unique, he's different, and his abilities are all based around the Chinese mythology, and I love that. Now, in this game, there are a few pretty well-known characters you'll see over on our team. Vulcan, who is a fairly well-known Roman god. His Greek counterpart may be even better known, thanks to God of War. We also have a Japanese god, which is a new pantheon added in 2016, Izanami. Another name you may recognize. Loki on the enemy team, and Nemesis, also relatively well-known. The Chinese pantheon is by no means the most well known, but it does have some of the most interesting characters in it, and that's what we're playing right here. So for those of you who are interested in trying out your favorite gods from pantheons you recognize, like Zeus, like Poseidon, like Hades, maybe Kali, you know, the Hindu pantheon, another one you may recognize from, this is the game for you. And again, that's what initially drew me to the game. I remember at the time when the game was very new, I was a big fan of Yu-Gi-Oh! As a kid, and I remember watching the movie with Anubis in it, and I was like, oh, Anubis, he's cool, and he's in Smite, he's a character I can play, and just that initial spark drew me into the game, and I'm hoping maybe that will do the same for you. By the way, this is Hebo in a skin. I probably should have been a bit kinder to you guys who are new to the game and played regular Hebo. Not only am I speaking in Spanish in this skin, it is the Latin American Hebo skin, he's also not normally looking quite like this. In fact, you can see in the portrait in the sort of bottom left, that's what Hebo normally looks like, a sort of middle-aged man with a water vortex for legs. But every character in Smite has four abilities I should say, and those again come from the character's lore. Hebo doesn't have a great deal of expanded lore, so essentially all his moves involve him splishing and splashing around with water. His most interesting move probably being his 2, the Atlas of the Yellow River. It's still a water splishy splashy move, however it has a little bit of team utility, and I am fond of that. So I will talk briefly about my character, what all the abilities do. My 1 is a simple, very close range, which is why this mage doesn't do fantastically in the meta right now. It's a very close range damaging ability. All it does is big burst damage, but it's notably on a very short cooldown. The number 2 ability, the one I was just talking about, the Atlas of the Yellow River, is a placeable. It will place in a straight line. On that placed item, you are both able to move faster, your enemies are slowed, and you're also slow immune, so you're immune to that particular crowd control effect. The number 3 is potentially his most powerful basic move. It is Water Spout. It is a longer ranged magical burst ability. You see me using it on the creeps there, and the reason why it's so good is it also knocks enemies up. When enemies are knocked up, they're pretty much not in control of their movement at all. They're not able to do anything. It can interrupt certain moves, and it is a very powerful form of crowd control. Finally, we have the ultimate, which, akin to Hebo's other moves, is a big burst damage ability. Hebo himself turns into a giant crashing wave, which is the name of the ability, and pretty much wipes out everything in his path. It's a very strong mage burst ability. Alongside that, you also have access, I should say, to 2 relics. They used to be known as actives. A lot of them are going to be changed through Season 4, so I'm not going to go into great detail about each one, but the one you just saw me pop there was Aegis Amulet, which made me immune to any damage for a little duration, and I kind of used it to cleanse and get myself out of a little bit of trouble. So overall, you have those 4 abilities, plus the 2 actives available to you, so there's essentially 6 different things you could be doing by pressing keys on your keyboard at once. And that is, I'd say, the basics of the combat in Smite. But why Smite, I think, has a very steep early initial learning curve and is very difficult when it comes to positioning, in many ways more so than a game like League of Legends, is this third-person action orientation. You can outplay your opponent very heavily in this game. If you've not played this game before and you were to go against a veteran who played it for a long time, I have played it for too long, I think some may say, you essentially wouldn't have a chance, because there's just so many things you do need to know. And I know that is daunting as a new player to hear, but for me, it's exciting. Because I'd much rather be challenged in those ways than challenged by the ideas of last hitting, which is all about the high level League of Legends and Dota skill cap. I find the professional players of those games, especially the people who play at the very highest level, to be unbelievable. The things they do on those games requires so much knowledge and skill, it's out of this world. Smite, on the other hand, it doesn't have that ridiculously high skill ceiling, but up until that point, there is an awful lot for you to learn, an awful lot for you to improve at, and that's why even after playing the game for just under 4 years, I still feel like I'm improving at it, and it's still an exciting challenge for me, not only to make YouTube videos, hopefully helping you guys improve, but also, again, keep my practice up. And moving into Season 4, I'm hoping to get more competitive as far as the game is concerned. I have, like I said, been playing the game for a long time, and I have been playing the game at a pretty high level for a long time as well. You'll see the exchange going on right now. Like I said, wasn't going to go into great detail about the gameplay. It was meant to be something pretty in the background for you guys to watch, but what you saw was an exchange of ultimates there. I used Crashing Wave on the Nemesis. She used an ability that actually reflects some of the damage and heals herself up, which was a nice play by her, and then ultimates me herself, making me slower for a period of time and increasing her movement speed, as well as stealing protections. Nemesis is a pretty crazy character. There's a lot going on with there, but that was basically a little backwards and forwards in terms of combat, which was relatively easy for me to explain. Don't know how easy it is for you guys to understand. So the objective of the game, which I probably should have got into a little sooner, the objective of this map anyway, the Conquest map, is to push down the towers. You'll see there's a map on the sort of upper right hand side. Your intent is going to be to push down all 6 of those towers if possible. Doing so will grant you guys gold. Moving on to the Phoenixes just past them, there's only 3 of those. They'll be even harder for you to take down, and they will respawn after a certain amount of time, as you'd expect a Phoenix to do. But once you take those down, you expose the enemy Titan. Used to be a Minotaur a long time ago. And once you take down the Titan, it is game over. And both teams have the same objectives in what is basically a symmetrical map. So you have the exact same starting point. The only thing that differs is the way you choose to play it, the strategies you come up with, and the characters you are playing. And there is a vast amount of diversity in the game as far as characters are concerned. Admittedly, not as much as the longer running MOBAs, but there are now 84 characters from a number of different pantheons. In fact, our most recent character can transform into 83 other characters in the game. That's how crazy her kit is. The Morrigan is her name, and she's actually one of my favourite characters to play right now, and she's from the Celtic pantheon. So another new exciting pantheon just after we had the Japanese one added, which I'm sure it brought a lot of interest. A lot of people are interested in Japan, myself included. I'm of course doing a Japanese degree at university. I say of course, I feel like I'm talking to guys I've been talking to for a very long time, and I'm hoping that some of you from my old YouTube Payday channel will come along and watch this and not just stick to the Payday content I'll bring out. But I'm also hoping some of you guys are brand new and you're just interested in Smite, or again, maybe you are unaware of what Smite is all about, but you're still giving it a go here, and I do greatly appreciate that, and I will do my best not to speak like you guys know who I am. There will be a video in the future sort of explaining what I do. In fact, once this video is over and you guys have watched that, I will hopefully be streaming. I'm hoping to upload the Payday video, this video, and start streaming all at one time. It's basically the return to YouTube. I've only been away for a couple of weeks, but I would still like to make it a bit of a big thing. And starting streaming again is something I'm really excited about. Smite is the perfect streamable game. Games can go on for quite a while, which makes them very difficult to commentate on for YouTube. I will generally be splicing my footage and trying to make informational videos for the most part. But if you guys are just interested in seeing some raw footage and maybe just learning from the way I play, my Twitch is the perfect place to do that. I'll link to that in the description down below. And as I said, if you guys are early to this video, you guys will see me streaming right now. And I'm hoping to maintain Smite and Payday streams coming into the future. I've sorted out my university internet, and so really there are no excuses. Right now in the gameplay, we're about 5,000 gold ahead. Those numbers up at the top of the screen, if you're finding them confusing, they're some of the more simple ones. You've got the time that the match has been going on for, you've got both teams gold, and then both teams kills to death ratio. We are up 11 to 5 with a pretty sizable lead. I myself am 201. I've got 2 kills, no deaths, and an assist, and you'll see below that the items I am building. So I am going to assume most of you are fairly familiar when it comes to MOBAs as to what it's all about. You build your abilities, making them stronger, and you also build up your items. Depending on which item you build, your characters will all play differently, and that is all something that I'm going to get into in much further detail in the future. I may bring you some of my preferred builds. Guys, I hope you've enjoyed this video and I hope you found it informative. Hopefully I'll see you as many as possible at the stream I'm running right now. Click the link in the description below and I will see you there.